Okay, welcome to this video. I'm going to show how we can use AWS Glue to load data from S3 buckets and create data table within AWS Glue catalog. So let's dive in. First, you need a data file. I'm going to use this data set from Kaggle. It's called housing.csv. Once you go to the S3 console page, you can create a bucket. I'm going to go to my AWS console. First, I need a S3 bucket. So I'm going to S3. Creating a bucket is very simple. You need to choose a bucket name, and this bucket name has to be unique across all AWS accounts. I'm going with the default settings, so I'm not going to change anything, and I'm going to create a bucket. And now the bucket is created. You can see it here. I'm going to upload the file. So now that is done. And now we can go back to the main console of AWS, and I'm going to go to AWS Glue console. I need a couple of things here. The first thing is to create a database. So if you can go to the data catalog and databases. I already have a database, so I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to create a new database. You can call it anything. So I'm going to call DemoDB. I'm going to click create database. And now we need to create a table within the database. You can do it in a few different ways. One, you can go ahead and specify the schema of your table. But since we have the data in S3, we can also make use of AWS Glue crawler to crawl this data within this bucket and infer the schema. So for that, you can click add tables using crawler, or you can go to crawler on the left. So here I'm going to click create a crawler. I need to give it a name. So again, I'm going to use a demo crawler as the name and click next. Next, we need to choose a data source. We don't have a data source defined for this crawler, so I'm going to click add a data source button here. Here you can choose where you are going to load data from. So with AWS there are many different options, but in this demo we have the data file in S3, so we are going to go ahead with the default S3. You need to choose the bucket name here. So I click there and I choose the bucket name. This is the one I created, and this is the one that has the file. We need to add a trailing slash for some reason, and we can go ahead with other default options here. So I'm going to click add S3 source. So the source is now specified. We can click next. We need an IAM role. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new IAM role. I can actually go back to AWS console, can click on IAM and go to policies. You can also go to IAM and click the policy, the main IAM console, and then click policy on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a policy and then create a row and attach the policy to that row. So let's create the policy. So for creating the policy, we need to specify which service is going to use this policy. In our case, it's going to be Glue, because Glue is the one that is going to go and read from S3, and we need Glue to have permissions to read from S3. Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to click JSON here, and I'm going to specify it here. Have the policy here that specifies what are all the required permissions. So you can see that it requires it adds permission to get an object from this bucket, AWS Glue demo bucket, and then also list bucket. In your case, I'm going to share this policy document with you. If you are going to use it, you will need to change this line and replace it with your bucket name. And then it also has a bunch of Glue permissions, so that is to create a table, update table, and so on. And then also it requires to write logs. Now I have this permissions, so I'm going to click next. I need to have a name for this policy. And I can create the policy. So let me copy the policy name, because when I create a row, I will need to add this policy to that row. So I'm going to click roles on my left, click create a role. This is going to be for an AWS service, and it's going to be for Glue. So I'm going to select Glue, click next, add a policy, a permission policy. So I'm going to search for the policy name and select it, and then click next. I need to give a name for the role, so I'm going to name it Glue role for S3. Now I'm going to copy this and create a role. So now I can go back to Glue. I can refresh it here, and it should be there. Yeah, it's here. Now I choose it, and now we can click next. We need to also specify the database, which will be target, meaning after the when crawler reads data from S3, it will write it to a database, and which database we want it to be. So it is demo DB. This is the DB that we created a few minutes ago. We can give a prefix to the table name. The table name is going to be the same as the bucket name. So the table, when it creates the table, it's going to be the same as this one, but we can add a prefix to that name if you want. I'm not going to add any prefix. You also need to specify a schedule for the crawler, so you can run it on demand, or you can also run it hourly, daily, weekly, and so on. I'm going to go back to on demand, and then click next. I can review everything. It should be good. The crawler is now created, and now we can run the crawler. So I clicked, so it says that the crawler is starting. It may take a couple of minutes. I will stop and come back when this is ready. So now this is completed. So the crawler has run. It's a small file, so it finished within a minute. So this should have now created a table within the database. So we can go to the database and tables, and if I refresh it, there should be a table, and yes, there is a table, and as I mentioned earlier, its name is same as the bucket name. Now we can also take a look at the data. We can go to the service called Athena. can write your SQL query here to read from database. We have the AWS data catalog, and then there is a database called DemoDB, and within that database there is a table. So all these which were created by Glue are here. So the way you do it here in Athena is slightly different from standard SQL. So you can specify the catalog data source, and then dot the database name. So it's demo db, and then another dot, and then the table name. So that would be this. So I'm going to copy this. I don't want to see everything. I'm going to request first 10 rows. So you can see these are the first 10 lines from that file. Hopefully you understood how we can start working with AWS Glue and how we can create a database and tables using AWS Glue crawler. Thank you for watching.